diagnosing, not granted. Stay woke and upstanding. Buy hope and sell panic. That's a lesson in disguise, so you might want to rewind that. Sell it on the high, decay time, then I buy back.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, got your watch list coming into August 29th, 2019, and it's time for the stock market to double down. Now, I mean this in a few senses. It's both as we come into wrapping up this week, both Thursday and Friday. You could even see what the moves did today. We had the gap up and just kind of stayed flat with that weird end of the market move after making this big drop off of those escalations following Jackson Hole. Then you got the gap up and sell off, and then today the gap down and sell off, and it's kind of crazy. We're really back where we started, and we've seen this before. It's literally an exact opposite of the week before this, but on the low side instead of the high side towards the top of the range. So this is getting very important here. So we're going to keep our eyes for this, but I really think now it is time to double down in some senses. If you're not familiar with that, it's like in blackjack, you decide to double down, you get one more card, and that's what we're going to see here today. It's going to both describe some of the strategy for the plays. I got some specific options for you. We got some strike prices for the healthcare ones we played, and a few of the options I've been holding, they got very cheap, and something very unique has happened to the prices that I really like. So we'll talk about this. We're going to go over the plays for tomorrow. We're going to go over the plays we made today. We got the keys, and that's pretty much it. So let's get into it. But if you didn't hear, we are live Monday through Friday, 30 minutes before open. So make sure we see you there in the morning. It is the first link in the description as well as pinned in the comments. But make sure you drop your like on the video. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel. We post this nightly watch list every single night. And finally, the most important thing you need to do, post your watch list below. Let us know what you're watching, and we're going to cover those pre-market. We like to source that information, so hopefully I gave you some ideas. You could give us some ideas, and even if we don't even like each other, maybe you'll find a new friend who will like your ideas. Whoa! But shout out to everybody. Even if you've been banned, we still love you all. We're glad you guys are here. I've had really good phone calls, 11 out of 11s. Again, I'm not feeling too good here, but you guys are the best. The love is in the air, ladies and gentlemen. But let us get into the keys for today or for tomorrow. The double down. So again, you get one more card, and now this is both describing what we're seeing with the market, which is important. Again, we're either going to see one more move here, and it's either going to play the same exact thing. Really, there's two things. Again, it's related to the option, it's related to the market. We're either going to get a dud, we're going to get a cuck, and it's not going to be a face card, or it's going to get a face card, and that's exactly what we want here. So as far as the option strategies goes, it's only good if it moves in the direction that we want. And what I mean by this is that there's good options that have gotten cheap, and I'm going to go over those. I'll show you the exact strike prices, meaning these options were expensive all week. This awkward bounce today devalued them. And again, we're coming into Thursday. If you guys don't know, this is that push it to the wall strategy we've talked about. So this is where if you were holding options, pushing it to the wall hurt you. Whereas if you haven't got any positions, it's very beneficial, but only if we get that face card. So if we don't get the face card and you take a gamble and you try to go for some of these shorter terms, there's going to be some opportunities, but if they don't hit, it's going to be very easy to lose. And that's what's going to happen here. We're either going to stay within this range, and again, we might get a move like this, and then we could anticipate Friday, but that's the next thing. Monday is closed for Labor Day, so keep this in mind as we move into here, because some of the moves might be concentrated into tomorrow rather than Friday. You know, we got lucky last Friday with all of this because the tweet, I don't know if you want to call it lucky, but that's what caused the move. So you might not see this exact same thing play out. So again, it's very likely with this type of behavior, it stays there. And again, the keys I'm going to look for will probably be determined, again, whether it's a news event or right off the morning. Now, the volume has been steadily decreasing, and you can see it's kind of doing this, what we had here. Pretty much the same volume, slightly higher because we're at these lower levels, and it's been more gaps and bounces. These ones weren't the same, but like I said, it's repeating almost the exact same thing. So this is very sketching me out. There is a few pieces of news. I think I'm going to make it on a weekend video. There's a lot of random stuff I want to talk about related to the economy and the market. I'm not going to get into it here on the watch list, but this is weird. There is one thing, a piece of news that came out. It's going to be related to one of the plays in TLT if you saw what happened there after hours. But in general, prepare for both ways. And like we said, this is what I mean double down. You're either going to double down and take the risk, bet more money to get this one extra card for tomorrow, and even Friday too. The same thing will apply. This is both playing Thursday and Friday. If you get the move, you're going to be happy. You're going to, it'll make a nice move for you. But if it doesn't, you're going to take the risk and lose money, especially now when you have the Fed meeting just right around the corner. So that's where you have to decide. Do you go for the risk or not? Do you try to get greedy and make money if there is a move? That's why the options are pricing that. The options are very, very expensive. They're going to get cheap. They're cheap now because if you do take the risk, there's going to be a high reward. But even the option market is pricing in the cuck as well too. Push it to the wall and see. But this is what I'm saying with the YOLO demon. It's easier to keep it in the cage than to get it back in once it's out. So that's something you guys will notice. If you haven't made any of these YOLO plays, you've been waiting, holding off till this Fed meeting, you're probably doing good at it. It's easy to keep it pulled back when you're saying, okay, I'll be patient, nothing happens. I'll keep it patient, nothing happens. I'll keep it patient, nothing happens. But the minute you let them out and start making those trades, that's when the game starts to change a little bit. So be cautious with that. And remember, control the balances. So keep that in mind. Unless any crazy news comes out, you do still got to watch the yield curve, watch the bond rates. That has been kind of important. And again, where the currencies are at, do not forget what we said with the Chinese yuan and the Japanese yen. And I don't know if I made it clear for some people. If the yen goes below 105, that is important to cause a downside trigger. If the yuan still stays up, that is more of my trigger to go short. But those still stayed high today, and those had divergences. But again, that could happen for some time. So again, keep watch for any news. But that is even part of this whole strategy of doubling down and what we're going to watch for. But that's what's going to be important, is more the approach and strategy, especially when we have this low volume, lack of news environment coming off of big news that people are still anticipating and waiting. So that being said, let's get into the plays. So we did make a few plays today. I grabbed a UNH September 6, 210 put for 36 cents, and these were interesting to watch. And we also played Tyson Chicken. They had news of a beef pricing investigation, so keep your eyes on that. But the Tyson was more of a news play we were going after. But the UNH, I'm going to go over the ones I want to play, and Cigna is the other one. And I really, really like Cigna. That's probably going to be the YOLO demon one here, even though we got the next week's. And I think these 210s are a little far out the money. We paid 37 cents for them, and this is something I wanted to highlight that we did show on stream. You'll notice at one point, UNH hit 229 and it dropped to 226, but during that whole time the option stayed the same exact price roughly. And even as it started to go up here, it was just weird how the option moved. So be careful with these. And people were asking, this is where I'm starting to get a feel for it, because again, as this stock moves, it's hard to determine the strike price. Really, I'm trying to aim within $10 or $15 within the money. If I could get now these 215s for about 30-40 cents, I think this is a good play with at least a week of time. That's what I'm looking for. So we got these ones, and again, I said I'm probably going to set up a bigger play on these, but we have to wait. And somebody did bring up, we do have the DNC coming up past this next week. I think September 13th or September 20th. It covers one of those, but there's that. There's a lot of put activity on UNH on October. So again, we have the October spreads, and I'm going after these. I'm kind of doubling down, going on my YOLO demon. I'm letting it loose on the healthcare short term. But again, it's just like FedEx. When you guys saw, if I don't start hitting those soon, I either have to pull back on my averages, or I wait to average to get these cheaper ones closer to the money, or I go with the safe bet. And we're seeing the weakness in healthcare, and just hit everything with October, hit the catalyst, hit the weakness, and do it all at the same time. We might make less if there is an immediate drop, but you're going to get the safety and almost get more of a guarantee, not a guarantee you'll win, but a better odds and better chance of success. But we got those 210s for next week. Those are the ones I like. And then the next one that I also have ready for tomorrow is Cigna. And I figured I'd grab one of these. And my plan was either to average down on them or wait. But it was the 142s. We grabbed these. Dang, those went up. We got these for 11 cents. They were at 8 cents throughout the day. And again, all of the healthcare stocks, because they were down the day before and had the bounce, the prices are jacked up. And now Cigna, with how it was moving, it's pretty crazy. It's hanging now out near this low. That's the 14-day. Let me pull up the daily. You could see here. It's hanging out near these lows. And I don't know if you guys have seen stocks near these lows. You could even buy Baidu the last time. They don't always break through the first moment they hit. So imagine Cigna over here in March. It did the same thing with more of a negative catalyst. And as it hit that low, it just bounced up, then came down, bounced up, hits a new low, bounces up. So again, this could be the 5th or 6th test of a new low, but be careful, and that's why these options aren't pricing it in. But these are pretty decent. If you can get the 145s or the 144s for cheap, Again, sub 20 cents. I think these are going to be great, or even 10 cents. But a lot of these options were about $1, even 50 cents in the morning, and they closed down a lot lower. I like the 144s or 145s, but we got the 142s for 11 cents. No commission on Robinhood. Going to wait to see what happens with those. But that's my real YOLO demon play on the short term. But again, healthcare could just stop moving at a moment's notice. These aren't stocks that really move too crazy. And again, that's reflected in the option chain. But I like those plays. Again, we played the Tyson as well. We played the UNH. Those were the three. But now these are the other plays, Caterpillar and FedEx. And now someone even asked when I was talking FedEx what I meant if it hits 150, if it goes below 150. They're like, I need clarification. No. Yeah, you need to clarify. I need to speak to the manager. Is it when it drops below 150? What are you saying? Well, to clarify it for you, what I'm saying is 150 is a key support level, and if it breaks below that, it has a lot more downside. And again, same logic here with Cigna. Just because it hits that low doesn't mean it has to break. That's why I'm looking at it both short and midterm. But these plays we got October on, but keep an eye out for FedEx on the downside. And now this is leading to those plays. Now, if you look at the puts, even though we got October, those October plays are still holding up. Those 110s are literally the same price we paid for them because it had that big drop in the big run-up. So the fact that even after that swing, these are still holding up, I think that's hinting that the volatility is still there, but now the short-term contracts had to drop in value. These were at like 60 cents or 70 cents. They're at 12 cents now. These FedExes got very, very cheap. So I'm going to be eyeing these 148s, 147s. I like the $20 mark. If we can get any of these for cheaper, I'm going to go for those. But keep your eye out for those. I'm holding the 145s. 145 now might be a little too far at the money, so that's why I'm saying 148 to 149 or even 150, but the key here is spending about less than $25. But again, hopefully you guys are seeing the notion of what I'm saying with the double down, because these contracts were all expensive. A 145 is far out the money, but that wasn't so far at the money when it was trading at 148, 149 earlier. It was really actually close. Now it's a lot further. So that's why it's doubling down. You're going for the bet on them. It's a lower probability play. You're getting it cheap for a reason, but if it starts to drop again, those will be good, but you got to double down and you want to get closer to the money. Remember, the key is to spend a little bit amount of money to get in the money. So same thing applies with FedEx. That applies to Caterpillar. And it's the same thing here. I think I had these 113s. I think the 113s, I think I had the 110s. And both of them, they did the same thing. These were at 60, 70 cents. They dropped below. But if you can get the 113s, I think they were trading at 113 already. These are 46 cents. So if these depreciate to 10, 20 bucks, those will be good. And again, this will be a whole different play on Friday, because tomorrow there's one day, but that's what we have to watch out for. And again, we need to see that the volume in the rest of the market's there. But those are the main plays I'm going to be watching coming into tomorrow. And now TLT. This was that piece of economic news, and keep your eye out for this. I need to make a video on this. I think it has to do with the economy. It's both this and a lot of the weird news you've been seeing, but the bond rates just started to rise after hours here because Mnuchin talked about seriously considering longer maturity bonds. We're talking 50 and 100-year bonds. So why did that make bond rates go up? Because there's going to be a brand new bond issued, or even talks of it. That is going to change bond rates all around, and that will, if you haven't seen an inverted curve, that will totally mess it up too. So watch out for that, but that is going to create weird movements on TLT. It's going to cause for divergences depending on how the market digests that and if they keep driving it home. If you see Trump talk about it, if you see Mnuchin keep talking about it, so watch out for that. But TLT is still on my list. I'm holding a 149 that expires on Friday. The fact that it's still holding up here, again, it surprised me at the beginning of the week, so I think that's important. Next one I'd watch is Ollie. They had earnings, and I was surprised that this was crazy, but we're talking almost a 50% drop, 30%. This is either, if you guys have seen these types of plays, this is going to be a very good one to watch in the morning. It's either going to be one of those big continuations and it'll continue to go down a lot, or it'll bounce real quick, or it's going to make one quick move and then cuck for the rest of the day. But either way, that could open up opportunities, and there's a really, really high chance of option mispricing. So come out and watch this in the morning. Make sure you guys are there. But I like those, and then I like Target as well too. They've kind of been holding up, and this is kind of along the lines of the more doubling down, because now they've had the earnings, they've had the continuation, and the fact they're still up, it's either going to break out from here tomorrow or it could come down depending on what happens. But I like where it's at. The IV is probably settled down. I need to go over the pricing more, but I'm going to keep this on watch for tomorrow. And then Boeing as well too. We still have those spreads, but the fact that it's kind of hit the brakes, I think this is a weird move for Boeing. The fact that it had those first days up, came down, and ended up green. so I want to see if it holds this range. But again, it's no coincidence what range it's holding at. But watch out for that one. And then lastly, Beyond. Shout out you, Mad Baby, holding it down for the Chad. He brought this up. The option prices, both calls and puts, are cheap. Again, a lot of expectations and a lot of cucking here from the last few weeks. I like them. I think the options are great, especially if you're going to get next week options at minimum. But the problem is it's hard to really determine if they're going to go up or down. That's the only issue. So calls and puts are both cheaper, but I really couldn't tell you if there's more upside or downside because, I want to say downside, but who knows with this stock, again, how it's held up. I want to say upside, but beyond me. So keep your eyes out for this, though. But if this does start to break out, I think that could be very important. And then lastly on here, the last ones I'm going to watch McDonald's. And we talked about this. I think the next week calls are starting to get cheap. It had a pretty interesting move here at the close that I liked, being able to go up a lot. But these 220s for this week are good. Again, you could have got these slightly cheaper, around 10 cents, and they started rocketing up. But same thing for the next weeks. These 220s were at 50 cents. I thought these were going to fall to like 2 to 30 cents or something. I like them around there, but I'm just going to keep my eye out for McDonald's. If it does start to move a little bit differently and then outside of this range it's pricing in, I think that's going to be good. But I also like all of these value stocks, so I'm going to keep my eye on Intel. We haven't looked at that, and as a chip maker, they closed literally break even, and they were kind of slow today. But looking at their spot, they're low, but not too low. I think they're at a crucial position. I wouldn't be surprised to see something. I might set up a longer-term spread, but I'm even keeping my eyes out this on the short term. Same thing with IBM too. But I'm more interested in Intel. And then lastly, Starbucks as that hedge play on the other side, because again, it had its earnings. We kind of need to see it break out, but it's held up surprisingly well. And again, these types of moves, even though it's moved and stayed up here, when it does nothing, that's great for option pricing, believe it or not. It's bad if you bought it last week and you're holding. If you're holding, you're getting killed on theta. But these are the companies where it holds up like that. If you haven't got anything, that's going to work in your favor. So that is your watch list, ladies and gentlemen. Hopefully you've posted your watch list by now. Hopefully you're ready to go. Hopefully you've liked the video. Hopefully you're hydrated. I think I already said that, but either way, stay in the game. Be positive. Be respectful. Control your YOLO demon. No, stay inside. Okay, I love you guys. Let's go!